Hello and welcome back to Azure Terraformer. Today we're going to work on Terraform modules with Entra ID. Last episode you may have remembered that we put the finishing touches on group membership, where we eliminated all GUIDs and leveraged user principal names that are human readable, i.e. the email address, to look up users and add them as members. We also added a feature where we did the same thing, but for the owners of the group. And then we merged that with whatever the Terraform user happened to be with a predefined list of group owners. Today, we're going to be extracting a common use case out as a reusable module. It'll be our group membership module of sorts. And its goal will be to help us simplify the repeating process of creating a group and adding a bunch of users as members to that group. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, the two code files that I think are ripe for refactoring are the group admin and the group reader. They're essentially identical. The only thing changing being the display name and then the collection of users that we use to add members to this group. We'll start by setting up a folder for this module. And we're going to go steal the versions. And I don't think we need random, and I don't think we need Azure RM. We do need Azure AD. And then variables, we'll think through the variables when we get to that. So I think pretty much we can just copy pasta all of this, paste this in here. Now, this is kind of a good indicator of what we're going to need, right? So right off the bat, we're going to need the admin users, but it's not going to be admin users. It's just going to be a collection of users. And we still need to go and take this collection and turn it into a map. And then owners, we need something to do here. Now, it does seem like it might be a common thing where we want to have the current Terraform user to be an owner of this group. So maybe we'll include that as well. And in order to do that, I think we're probably going to need to bring all of this code with us. So we might want to just separate this out as owners.tf and treat this as something different. And now we do need group owners, and we'll add a variable for that. We'll just call it, instead of group owners, we'll call it owners. So now I think we're good. So now we've got the owners logic in its own file. We've got main.tf that's doing the end users. We probably need to have a display name. And I think we're in pretty good shape. There may be some other settings that we want to get set here. We probably don't need to have admins embedded in here, right? So if we just refactor this a bit, it's no longer admins. It's, you know, the actual main, the main thing that we're creating. And so now if we go look at our file, what do we need to do to replace this? Well, all of this essentially goes away. And we just replace this with a module reference, and we call this admins. And the source of this module is going to be, so there we go. So all of that code changes to that. Now readers is more of the same. And I'll save myself a little bit of copy pasta. It's really not that. And there we go. So reader users is the same. And you know what? I could probably throw these into the same file now because the code's so simple, and I can look at them side by side and I won't get a headache. And so there you go. I've got reader users, admin users, I got dev admins, I got dev readers, and I can delete this file. And I can just create a thing called groups. And you know what? I can even get rid of all this stuff because we're not using that. And I could probably just toss this into main because at this point, you know, there's really nothing significant in groups.tf anyway. And there we go. So let's try and run this. 6 to add, just like we did before the refactoring. There we go. Now, if I go look at my security groups, I still have those security groups. I got my admins with Kaiser and me in it. Then I've got my readers with Kaiser and me in it, I guess. And if I want to go change that, I can let's drop me from the readers. Let's see what happens. And we're just dropping me from the readers. And it works great. Now, I will say this one thing that I probably don't need is now that I have this refactored very easily, I probably don't need a TFR file to pipe this stuff in. It probably makes sense to leave this in the configuration so that when I go look at admin users, I can see who the admins are right away. And I don't have to go think about that. right? So I can just drop that in there. And then if I want to go look at reader users, I can just drop that in there. And, you know, maybe group owners stays the same. But I think sometimes having input variables really doesn't add a whole lot of value, right? And so I can see pretty clearly, maybe I'll move this line up there to make it a little bit more readable. So I got my nice clean scrimmage lines. I've got my admins here, and I can very easily change who the admins are, and I'll just change it to me. And then I can see who my readers are. And, you know, I have a very easy way of creating new groups, adding members of those groups, and setting who the owners are. Now, if there was a more sophisticated way where I needed to set group ownership, I might also include different local variables that include different groups of people that need to own, that need to be the owners of different groups, or I might just call them out with an inline list to set the group ownership as well. But very powerful stuff. Again, the flexibility that Terraform modules can provide, even when using your own local module to encapsulate repeating code within your solution, can really clean up your infrastructure as code solution and make it much more manageable going forward. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. That's it for me. This is the Azure Terraformer signing off.